Hello and welcome to Paint by Blunders. This is a super exciting project for me. I'm going to be going over how I made this. Now let's get to it. So a small bit of backstory on this video. I printed this bust and I was like, it's gorgeous, it's amazing. But I looked at the head and thought, this looks like it could be severed and put on my wall as a bit of like a trophy piece. So I thought, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. And hopefully this inspires you to try doing something like this if you have a 3D printer yourself. Just because you bought an STL that you might resin print, there's nothing stopping us from blowing these up and, you know, increasing the scale. So within Bambu Studio, you have the handy option to slice your models. And I'm going to use this to essentially cut the head off and make this much easier to print because I don't want the body for this. And I'm basically moving it around to try and get the most clean cut so I don't have as much cleanup, and I know I only want the head. So essentially I'm just moving around on the axis to find, you know, where is going to give me that cleanest cut. Now there are much smarter ways to do this, but for the video I'm just trying to make this as simple as possible to show you how you could do this. And conveniently, when you click perform cut, it will just divide this into two separate objects. Now, as I say, I'm printing this on a big old Bambu Lab H2S, which is huge. Now I know that's a premium machine, but you could do it on the A2L as well. Or if you have a smaller bedded printer, you could always cut it into smaller pieces if you want the same size, or scale it accordingly. So once I scaled it up on the print bed, I was like, oh, it's actually not that big because the horn is obviously huge and that takes up a hell of a lot of build volume. So I thought, well, we're going to cut the horn off then.
Cut me, Mick. Don't want to do it. Oh, cut me.
So I did that, cut the horn off, and then thought, the tongue is also taking a bit of real estate on the bed. Let's just get rid of that as well. It's so easy and so simple to do, and I knew that these would be a fairly easy join once this was printed. And once I'd done that, I sent this over to the printer, and after many hours, this thing was done. So it came out pretty big. As always, if you are new here and enjoying what I'm doing, please do consider liking, subscribing, commenting and all that, because it really does help the channel grow. And without that and without you guys, I can't do these videos. And believe me, I absolutely love doing them. So please do. Thank you. So how did we get this from off the print bed to a slightly more finished or ready sort of prop or bust for painting? Well, I'm going to go over that now. So apologies if you already know a lot of this information, but if you don't, I hope you enjoy the process at least, and you might learn something anyway. So first and foremost, safety, respirator and gloves. I know it's boring, but absolutely have them and have a window open. And we're just going to use a variety of pretty standard tools and sandpapers and pliers to get this thing ready. So first things first, removing all of those tree supports. Now, if you've got a pair of pliers or clippers, you might have them for modeling. Don't use your fancy ones. Use ones that you might snip off stuff for, you know, scenery, etc. And we're just going to go around and pull away all those supports. They do come away pretty easy. Some are slightly, you know, stubborn compared to others, but don't worry, we're going to clean all that up. And once that's done, you get to the worst part of any sort of 3D printing, and that's sanding. But to start with, I'm just going to sand the parts that I need to join together so they bond better. Now, you'll see a lot of people use these. These are essentially sanders for the hard skin on your feet, for like the back of your heel, etc. They're very good for this sort of thing. Now, the reason why they're really good is because sanders, or bigger sanders, can generate a lot of heat, which can melt the plastic that you've printed in. But I'm going to go around and I'm going to sort of look at some of the worst ugly spots on the horn, etc., and all over before sticking this thing together. But there will always be an element of hand sanding, which is awful. And you use a variety of grits when you're doing sort of 3D print post-process, starting with 120 or lower if it's really gnarly, but 120 is generally fine. Then I jump to something in the 300 range, and then finally 600. Now, there are many ways you can do this and people have different processes, but that's generally what I would do before adding some sort of filler primer or something like that. Now, after that, I'm going to show you this nifty little device. Now, essentially, this, I think, is a car bumper sort of welder. And essentially, the way it works is you put in these little staples, pull the trigger, and the heating element essentially heats that wire, and you can push it into the print, and that will sort of weld the print together and give it a really stable connection. I'll link it in the description below. They're super cheap, and you get so many sort of staples and pins for a variety of different shapes and sizes. Now, any sensible person would have super glued this tongue part in place first, but I've run out of super glue, so I've had to just pin it. But one other approach you can do, and I always do this anyway, is any sort of joins, I will take a soldering iron with sort of a flat bit attachment, and I'll just go around and I'll just either prod at it to sort of make a connection or just gently trace that join essentially, so it welds them together. Again, using all of these sort of techniques in conjunction with each other will give you the most stable bond. And I know I'm going to have to do a lot of filling and sanding and sort of making good, but I know full well when I'm picking this up and moving it around, I'm going to grab it by the horn or the tongue, because it's just, it just lends itself to that. So I've got to really make sure that I've got some pins in and a really strong connection. One of the other things you might have noticed about this print is because we've scaled up a model that is essentially, this is a bust, but if you were scaling something up for, say, a tabletop war game, it might not have that detail sculpted into the model because obviously it's meant to be so small, and what would be the point, because a printer wouldn't, pick it up in sort of resin, etc. But where we've blown it up and scaled it up, we want to add that back in. And the easy way to do that, especially with horns, etc., is to sort of carve it in with a soldering iron. Again, this is a point where respirator or a mask, ventilation is absolutely essential, and yes, I should absolutely have gloves on. All I'm doing is going around and just carving in those sort of grooves and divots and just little elements into the horns that I know when I come to paint it are gonna, washes and glazes, etc., are gonna sit in it and just help sell it as a more real horn instead of something that's super smooth. And the reason why I wanted to show this is because we see a lot of videos and, prop make videos where you get these 3D files. There's not normally that many creature ones, and if there is, it's all baked in and it's lovely. But I wanted to show you how, if you wanted to make something yourself, because there's not that many files available for this sort of thing, that you can do it, and don't be afraid to add your own elements to it and use these as sort of a base. Now we're going to get on to surface prep. Now, before any sort of filler primer or anything goes on, I like to add my UPOL sort of glazing layer first. Now this is 1K stopper from UPOL. Essentially, if anyone has sort of worked in construction, it's very much like wood filler or 2-part filler, but it is essentially pre-mixed and it's just one tube. Now, to dilute this, you use acetone, or I use acetone, which is nasty. I do have gloves on here and the window is open and I do have my respirator on. The mix, essentially, it's down to you, but you can sort of just mix it into a nice slurry. You can put it on thicker if you like, but what I want is a nice slurry that's going to run into all the cracks and crevices and help hide those layer lines. So a few tips from me on this process is, one, I would use something like a silicone mixing bowl to mix this up, because once you're done with it and it's dry, you can literally just pop it inside out. Either that or you can just use an old container you don't mind throwing away. Second would be your disposable sort of old crabby brushes that you use for this. Think about how you can use them to your advantage. So for instance, the horn, I'm concerned about the direction of the brush so that I can use that effect and that mark in the paint job. Also, it does get very messy, so this brown paper on a roll is fantastic to just cover your table, sellotape it down and roll up and throw away at the end. Now, after I've done the first coat, I'm going to come in and do it again as a second coat. Now, creature flesh isn't smooth, and obviously this sculpt is quite smooth because it's not meant to be this size. So one of the things I'd recommend, again, like I was saying with a brush, is think how you can get those details in your prep. So I'm stippling this on just to add some divots and marks, much like you would see in a sort of prosthetics job for some sort of creature. You can also use sponge brushes for this, and this will just again help sell some texture so the paint job will look more realistic. And after that, I just thought I'm going to sand down the high peaks and anything that looks a little bit naff, and sort of try and tidy up my joins for the horn and the tongue. But other than that, it's pretty much there before I'm going to start spraying it. And I love the colour. This is sort of lending itself to a really old sort of sandstone. And then I just thought I would show the scale compared to the Nurgle model that I did last week. So I got it on the table after sanding it, and I'm really happy with how this is looking, and I think it's going to look fantastic when it's done. The horn join needs a little bit of work, so I'll sort that out in part 2, and we'll get it really, ready to rock and roll. But all I'm going to do for the rest of this sort of video is I'm just going to prop a little bit of UPOL sort of filler primer on it, so it's like an even grey tone, and then I will look at it and just see what it needs ready for video 2. So what do you think? Have you enjoyed this video, and do you want to see a part 2 where I paint this guy up from sort of start to finish? If you do, let me know in the comments because I don't really know what you want to see unless you tell me, so please do. And obviously a huge thank you to Bambu Labs for helping me and supporting me on this journey and making this possible.